What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JP, back again with a super exclusive video for y'all. That's right. Today I have the as of yet unannounced and unreleased BLU's first 5G smartphone, the F91 5G. Now I told y'all on BLU's YouTube channel, when they released their commercial for the BLU G91 Max, that a bunch of people were in the comments asking about a 5G phone. And BLU said one was coming soon. This wasn't even 2 months ago. And it will probably be announced this week, if I had to guess. Today is April 17th. 2022, and pretty sure this is going to be announced around the corner. It's actually available on Amazon right now for $2.99. I'm almost willing to bet that when BLU announces it, it's going to have an introductory price only for the first batch, only for the first couple of hours. How much that introductory price is, I do not know. Then what'll probably happen, it might be, anywhere between $50 and $100 off. And then what'll happen is when that discount vanishes, they'll have another discount that'll still sit below the $299 MSRP. And that'll be the price for a couple of weeks before it actually goes up to its $299 price tag. With that said, is this phone worth $299 off top without any discount before any introductory price? Is it worth the $299 MSRP USD? And I have an easy answer for that question. Yes. Absolutely yes. I feel like BLU has actually hit it out of the ballpark with this phone. The one thing I was worried about when BLU said in their comment area, in their comments on their YouTube channel, when they said that a 5G phone was coming soon, something told me it was going to have something to do with the G line or something with the 91 in its name, because that's their latest flagship number. They had the G91, the G91 Pro, the G91S, which wasn't really advertised, but that sat between the vanilla G91 and the G91 Pro. And then they had the G91 Max that came out, the most recent before this phone. And this of course is the F91. So they're obviously denoting the letter F for their 5G phones. But what I was afraid of was that they were going to release a phone with the go-to, for to make a cheap 5G smartphone. I was afraid that they were going to go with a processor that was actually going to be less powerful than the Helio G95 that was featured in the BLU G91 Max a couple months ago. Because, honestly, take 5G out of the equation, the Helio G95 is a sweet processor. And the G91 Max as a whole, for its MSRP at $250 without any discounts, is a steal in itself. It has one of the best mobile camera systems that you could find on a phone with the Samsung HM2. And again, the G95, as long as you're okay without having 5G, it's a powerhouse of a processor. And it had 8 gigs of RAM. It had wireless charging, reverse wireless charging. It was fast wireless charging, fast wired charging. Had the side-mounted fingerprint sensor. Had arguably the cleanest clearest, best, LCD screen in my opinion. As far as LCD screens go. Oh man, I can't really say enough good things about the G91 Max. Back to its screen, it was a full HD plus 1080, and it was 6.8 inches. I mean, it still is. It's a fantastic phone. So, I wondered, the F91 5G, okay, Blue's first 5G phone. It's labeled with the 91. Is it really as good as the G91 Max, or at least as good as the G91 Pro? Because the G91 Pro, as you know, has the Helio G90, which is also a fantastic processor. Basically, long story short, I didn't want to see Blue release a 5G phone with the MediaTek Dimensity 700. I am a MediaTek fan. The Dimensity lineup of chipsets are absolutely phenomenal. They're amazing. Fantastic price to spec ratio compared to their Qualcomm equivalents. And they really do get the job done. They are very underrated. They get a lot of flack that I just think they deserve a lot more credit, honestly. And that doesn't mean that I'm not a Snapdragon fan, because I am. But I understand why Blue uses MediaTek exclusively now. I get it. I have for a couple of years now. And they did not disappoint me with this phone, because see, the purpose of the Dimensity 700 is literally to just give the phone 5G capabilities, which in its own right is a flagship feature. But it's just not going to compete with the G91 Max, and it's barely going to compete with the G91 Pro in terms of benchmarks and gaming and stuff like that. It's a big trade-off. It's just a big trade-off. And if you actually look up anything about this phone, the Blue F91 5G, most of the documentation that's currently out says the Dimensity 700, which is what I guessed it had before I even saw the documentation. But lo and behold, this phone actually, Blue's first 5G phone, actually has a very formidable processor. I am extremely impressed. It has the Dimensity 810. And I'm super impressed by that. The reason why is because the Dimensity 810 was just announced late last year. It was announced alongside the Dimensity 920. Now, I'm not the biggest fan for the Dimensity 800 or 800U, much like I'm not so much for the 700 or 720. But I am a big fan of the Dimensity 820. Last year, I had the Redmi 10X, and the Redmi 10X had the Dimensity 820, and I was blown away at the performance that phone was achieving. And I paid like $350 for it, and in China, in homeland, it went for a lot less than that. I had to import it, and that was actually the last Xiaomi phone, period, global or Chinese, that I have had on this channel and have tested out since then. That it was a 5G phone, but the 5G didn't work here in the U.S., at least on AT&T. I never did test it on T-Mobile, but I think it would have worked on T-Mobile, actually. But, since then, a lot of those Chinese and global ones I've gotten since have had, capabilities for, the 5G even in the U.S. And actually, I think the Redmi 10X actually didn't come out last year. It came out the year before last year, this time 2 years ago. But nonetheless, the Dimensity, well, no, couldn't have been that long either. But anyways, back to the subject. The Dimensity 820 really impressed me. The A10 is newer. It's built on a 6 nanometer node instead of a 7 nanometer node. Okay? So don't let the lower number fool you. It's just lower. It's just clocked slower. It's clocked at 2.4 gigs versus the 2.6 gigs, I think, that the Dimensity 820 was clocked at. But there wasn't a lot of phones with the Dimensity 820, and there's even fewer phones with the Dimensity 810. I only know of two, both only available in China. One's a Redmi, of course, and the other one, of course, as well, is a Realme phone, the Realme 8i. And it actually closely resembles this phone in specs, minus a slightly smaller screen. It's a 6.6 versus the 6.8 found here. And really, everything else about this phone is exactly the same as the G91 Max. It took me a minute to figure out what compromise BLU made, and I did find one. Unfortunately, it's in the camera. This doesn't have the Samsung HM2 sensor with the 108 megapixels. This actually has the 48 megapixel sensor from Samsung. I think it is, what's it called? The GN1 or something like that? I can't remember. It's not HM. Obviously, it's not HM2. Obviously, it's not HM1. I think it's GM1, if I'm not mistaken. Or, y'all will have to correct me in the comments. But it's Samsung's 48 megapixel camera. But I mean, it still has, BLU's super pixel, super zoom, 108 megapixel technology that they include via the software. And it's not half bad. A lot of people, including myself, were very impressed with the camera on the G91 Max. I haven't really put the camera here through its paces on the F91 5G, but I have had plenty of phones with the same sensor that worked great. Granted, these phones were from a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, so it's definitely not the latest and greatest, even in terms of 48 megapixel cameras. But it's $50 more than the G91 Max, and it's still a Samsung sensor. It's still a very capable Samsung sensor, and that is literally the only compromise. This phone, other than that, mimics the G91 Max. Literally, it has it has a fast wire charging, fast wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, and not only does it have 5G, but it has the Dimensity 810, which is very much a higher performing processor than the Helio G95. It's clocked higher. It has the same 8 gigs of RAM as the G91 Max. It didn't skimp on the RAM either. They could have knocked this down to 6 gigs of RAM and I would have been happy. But it still has a whopping 8 gigs of RAM. Phones in this category with these kinds of processors, yeah, the processors are capable of 8 gigabytes, but no one ever puts 8 gigabytes in these, not only in this price range, but with these kind of phones, period. You're lucky to see 6 gigs sometimes. A lot of times 6 is an option, whereas base is 4 gigs. So I mean, and this is 8 out the gate. I mean, no, it's not an option. I mean, that's amazing. It only has 128 gigs internal, which I don't know why I say only. That's enough, for me, honestly. But it does have expandable memory, which y'all know I love. Does it have a headphone jack? I don't think it. Oh yeah, it does. There it goes. Yep. It has your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, USB Type-C. The speakers are great. It does have the same side-mounted fingerprint sensor. Works fantastic. Works fast. Has a facial recognition that works fast. It's 2D, of course. It does have a plastic frame, but it's very nice though. It's shiny, but not in a bad way. Not in a too much way. It has a glass back, and it's a matte finish. It is a quad camera, but again, the main sensor is the much older Samsung 48 megapixel lens. front-facing camera works fantastic. It's the same LCD screen that was found on the G91 Max. It's a 6.8 inch, 6.8 inch Full HD Plus 1080 with the Infinity dot display. It's thin, and I mean it's sleek, man. It's beautiful. This is the blue color, and that actually excites me there because the G91 Max, the blue color wasn't available at launch, and it definitely looks better than that black. And I think the G91 Pro also had an optional blue color that came out later on that wasn't available at launch, but I could be wrong about that. But nonetheless, though, of course, you get all your goodies. The SIM ejector tool there with your reading material, your blue sticker, your headphones, your braided USB Type-C cable, your fast wall charger, your tempered glass screen protector, your carbon fiber style case. Look at your box right there, the F91 5G. Let you read down the specs here right quick here. Go over anything I missed. Let's see. And that's right. And I know y'all see something else that you're going to like. This also has the same 5,000 milliamp battery that the G91 Max has. And, of course, sadly, Android 11, not Android 12, unfortunately. But what do you expect? I'm not knocking it for that. But, you know, because before I go to that but here, because it's still almost stock Android, which I really like. Very little bloatware. Actually, no bloatware. Correction, no bloatware. But I know y'all see something else here. Like I said, they might have taken away from the camera, but you're not only getting 5G, you're getting a super capable processor with that 5G. It's a processor that's better. Again, that's better than the Helio G95. I mean, that's what I was worried about. I was worried about it. I was just worried it was gonna have a Dimensity 700, but they went with an 810. Again, I keep hitting that like a dead horse, but y'all don't realize that's a new chipset. And BLU is one of the first with it. I mean, BLU. Think about how high on the totem pole Realme and Redmi are compared to BLU. And BLU also brought it to the US. I mean, that's phenomenal. But something else I wanted to go over really quick. I know y'all see that. NFC connectivity. BLU is a lot like Motorola. For some reason, because y'all know Motorola only puts NFC on their high-end phones. Very few of their mid-range phones have NFC. Now, granted, these phones are considered BLU's flagships. But their phones aren't known for having NFC. The G91 Pro didn't have it. The G90 Pro didn't have it. I'm pretty sure the G91 Max didn't have it. But the F91 5G has it. In fact, I know the G91 Max didn't have it, but the F91 5G has it. What makes me so impressed with this phone is simply that BLU literally took the Max. People wanted the Max with 5G, and everyone was afraid that they were gonna compromise it with 5G. Because I was also thinking that the 5G version of that phone would also have a smaller screen. It would have a screen the size of the G91 Pro instead of the Max, which was, what, 6.5 or 6.6 inches, something like that? Which would have been fine. But they kept the 6.8 inch of the Max, which is just awesome to me. TCL is bad about that. The TCL 10 series from a couple years ago. The 5G missed out on all of the things that made the TCL 10 Pro so awesome, like that beautiful AMOLED screen. The 5G just got a regular LCD screen. And the only reason it had a better processor is because at the time, the only affordable 5G processor that was out was the Qualcomm Snapdragon 765. the Pro that had all of the bells and whistles except 5G, if y'all remember correctly, had the Snapdragon 675. And at the time, the 675 was really the next best chipset besides the 765. I mean, I realized there was other 700 series processors out, but they really weren't that much better, if not on par with the 675. The 675 for its time was a very capable processor. Again, don't let these numbers fool y'all, okay? Just like with here, you know, the Dimensity 810 is you know, it has more things going for it than the 820. It's a 6 nanometer instead of a 7 nanometer chipset for one thing. You know, but you know, and TCO did that again with the TCO 20 series last year. It's just it's like the 5G should be the Pro, but they would separate the Pro from the 5G, and it just didn't make a lot of sense. And I was afraid of the compromises that BLU was going to make with the 5G phone, but they didn't. This is literally the max with 5G. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. They did a fantastic job with this phone. I am thoroughly impressed. Let me show y'all the back of it again. I mean, they did great here. They really did. I mean, by BLU standards, this is a true flagship phone, I really think. I mean, it has everything. Everything. I mean, look at those specs. Look at those specs. And then it has everything that you loved about the Max. I mean, the Max is definitely going to go down in the books, in my opinion, as the best camera for its price. There's no denying that. And the camera on this phone, at this price point, there's a lot better as well. So I mean, this isn't really going to be close to the Max when it comes to camera quality, camera image quality. But again, I haven't taken it to its paces. Other people will, though. You're going to see other reviews of this phone. They're going to be far better than mine. But anyways, though, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed bringing this here to y'all. Again, this is the BLU F91 5G. And I will see y'all in my next video. Peace out.